call the Town Council meeting of Hopkinton Town Council meeting of July 20th to order with a moment of silent meditation and salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on our agenda, folks, is the amusements ordinance amendment.
Oh, wait a minute. Our town planner.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped it, I'm sorry. Introduction of recently hired town planner clerk Sean Henry. I see Sean in the back. Bill, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. It's a privilege and a pleasure for me to introduce our newest employee, senior planning clerk, Sean Henry from Cranston. Sean's with us in the audience. There he is right there. Sean, although we didn't get a lot of applications for the positions, the ones that we got were highly qualified. And we went through a series of 2 rounds of interviews. And although the other candidates were qualified, he was the most qualified, and we felt he was the best fit for the position. He's a graduate from West Warwick High School back in June of 2005. He's also a graduate of the University of Rhode Island in December of 2009, where he received a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. And he's currently a student at Rhode Williams University, just finishing up the master's degree program in public administration. His work history is right along the lines that we need for someone from planning. He served as an intern for almost 3 years in Rhode Island statewide planning on Capitol Hill and Providence, on a variety of projects with statewide planning. And his most recent employment was for the Providence plan, where he was a workforce and education employee from May 2014 until the present time. He started work July 6th, and the good news is that he's still there. So would you like to come up and say a few words?
Sure.
Should hopefully have.
I just wanted to say hello. I've met a couple of you, but it's nice to see all of you. I'm Sean Henry. It is beginning of week 3 right now. I'm still very excited. I appreciate the opportunity afforded me by council and Gary, very much extension as well. And I'm looking forward to working with the town council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Welcome. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the amusements ordinance amendment. Render a decision on a proposed amendment to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Amusements, Article 1, Section 3-3, application for license in Section 3-11, waiver of requirements, introduced and sponsored by Councilor Thompson and heard on July 6, 2015. The proposed amendment would amend Section 3-3(6) as follows. A filing fee of $100 to cover the cost of advertising, sending notice, and administering such application. Nonprofits and other groups the Hopkinton Recreation Department sponsors, co-sponsors, or conducts shall be exempt from Section 3-36. The proposed amendment would amend Section 3-11 to add 2 as follows. When a single event or multi-event is sponsored, co-sponsored, or conducted by the Rec Department in the event or events are being held at recreational facilities owned and operated by the town of Hopkinton, publicized notice and notice to abutting property owners is not required. License fees and application fees are waived. An approved field request form from the Recreation Department and proof of liability insurance with the town of Hopkinton named as an additional insured is to accompany the single event or multi-event application. All other sections of Chapter 3 shall remain in full force and effect. Council, this is, I think, a pretty easy decision, but anybody have any comments?
I think when we made our comments, and it's just
Yeah, but if you, so, you guys have any questions?
I don't have any comments.
No comment. David? All right.
Move that we amend Chapter 3, Amusements, Article 1, Section 3.3.6 as read by the Council President, and also Section 3.11. And it would be adding 2 plus that paragraph. So anyway, so we move that we amend as read, both sections. Thank you.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion, folks? I just want to again thank Sylvia for her leadership on this. It was Hopkinton, again, Sportsman's Club sponsors Hopkinton, and we would have been subject to an additional fee. And it's a great event.
And the Boy Scouts.
And the Boy Scouts and a lot of other folks, right? So we just kind of missed it when we
And we're glad that it's
Yep,
fixed.
yep, so, I want to thank you for that. Motion made, seconded, no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next is the consent agenda. Approved town council meeting minutes of July 6, 2015, except the following report, town clerk, approved refunds submitted by the tax collector.
So moved. Second.
Motion made,
I
seconded.
have a question. Yes, Sylvia left the meeting at 7:15. However, subsequent votes.
Where are you? What
I'm sorry, page 5 on July 6th. Okay, anyhow, halfway through the page it says Council Thompson left the meeting at 7:15.
Yep.
However, subsequent votes show
Oh,
Thompson.
you voting? Yeah.
So I think the one at the bottom of page 5 should be, where it says Thompson that should be taken out. I think there's another one about May 15 and 9.
Very good.
And 10.
And the list goes on.
And the list goes on. I also think that on page 8, on that second paragraph, the first paragraph says Council Capalvo. I think in the second line there it says regarding he, I think it should be she.
Sounds good to know.
It should be she, I think. Other than that, I'm fine with it.
Transgender here.
No.
Motion to approve consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Any other discussion, folks? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. First public forum. Anyone out there wishing to be here? David?
Present.
Yes, sir. On the podium.
Council, Dave Caswell, Public Works. Public Works is proud to announce the start of the Dye Hill Road reconstruction project. Started last Monday with the sediment control devices installed, with the milling starting on Tuesday, grading starting on Wednesday, and as of 4 o'clock this afternoon, Cardi Corporation installed 1,014 ton of binder asphalt on the hill portion, starting from Skunk Hill toward Spring Street.
Wow.
Due to some erosion due to weather events, it was very important. So I had them pull out of TF Green that they were supposed to be doing today, and had them come to Hopkinton. But yes, so anyway, that project has started and things are going well. So this will be well.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
That is.
Next on the agenda, folks, is Town Council President Report. First item is National Grid Verizon petition for a new pole on Collins Road. I want to thank the council for a quick response to this. We had a resident that was building a new home and needed a utility pole, and we approved it very quickly, and they're now, the application, thanks to Lisa the clerk, got it up to National Grid, and they're on their way for the approvals to get electricity to that site. So I want to thank everyone for their help on that issue. Second item under my report is the Hope Valley, Wyoming Fire Chief Fred Stanley's retirement dinner. I attended, as well as the town manager Bill McGarry and Councilor Sylvia Thompson. This past Saturday night, it was at the West Valley Inn. Very good time. You missed Georgia Tillman.
Georgia told me
There was a
she
fun,
spoke, and I said, oh, I would have loved to have heard it. She's usually funny.
It was a funny dinner.
All right, I'll turn it over to you.
Please. Yep. But it was a very good time. He got a lot of accolades, and he got roasted as well. So it was a fun time, and it was sad to see him go. I want to thank him for all his 51 years of service to the community. Okay, I think that's it on my report. Next on the agenda, folks, the town council. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
Just when you brought up the telephone pole,
Yes.
Through you to Bill, can you get me some phone numbers to and a list of what's on the telephone poles and at what level. Like
Verizon, cable, yeah,
Cox, right?
the fire, they're at different levels.
because the double poles are coming back. I've got 2 phone calls in the last 3 weeks concerning them. There's 2 of them at the end of my street, and some of them I saw were cut off halfway. So the power is not on it, but the lower voltage stuff. If you get a contact number, and I'll just harass them again and call them every week.
We also have a meeting a week from Thursday with National Grid.
Yeah, we can ask them too.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's National Grid stuff.
It's Verizon.
It's probably just the cable and fire and stuff like that. If we know who's on that pole and contact, I'd be more than happy to call them with pole numbers and see if we can get those removed.
No problem, no problem, Tom. Next on our agenda, folks, is the town manager report, Bill Kadiri.
Thank you. The new tax assessor senior clerk, July 10th, after a comprehensive recruitment and selection process, the town hired Lucas Giancarello of Hopkinton to serve as its new tax assessor senior clerk. He accepted the position and he begins work Monday, July 27th. He replaces Judy Roy, who retired last month after 35 years of service. He's our new Judy Roy. His hiring is contingent upon the results of a background investigation conducted by the police department, and he also must serve a 6-month probationary period in his new position. And during late June and July, I wrote and issued the Crandall House generator and the Palmer Circle box culvert RFPs. Special thanks to my secretary for all her typing and organizational skills. So far this year, we have issued a total of 8 RFPs, and she does a lot of work on those, and she really does a nice job. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for those folks? Okay, very good. First under new business is to discuss, consider, and act upon a bid award to Commercial Electric Incorporated for the purchase and installation of an emergency generator at the Crandall House in the amount of $94,000. The low bid, which will be funded through the combination of a 2014 Community Development Block Grant Award and a Superstorm Sandy Disaster Relief Grant. Jeff, do you have anything to add?
Did you?
Please. Mike's not on, so speak up, please.
Oh, I came just for information on the source money. I don't know if you give the bid summaries and all that stuff to the council. On the agenda. I had 2 bids.
I can give you a brief summary. Okay, sure. On June 10th, the town issued an RFP to purchase and install a backup emergency generator for the Crandall House. A mandatory pre-bid conference and walkthrough was held on June 17th. Bid opening was held at Town Hall on July 1st. We received 2 bids. One from Towson Construction Company, the sum of $113,715, and a low bid from Commercial Electric of $94,000. And after speaking with Gordon Price, who is the town's consulting project engineer, and planner Jim Lanfield, we recommend that the project be awarded to Commercial Electric in the amount of $94,000, which was the low bid.
Okay, great, thanks. Tom?
Bill, it's a diesel generator, right? Did we even consider a propane generator? How long does the diesel sit? I mean, can that, I know if you're using gas and stuff, it would be great with the ethanol, because we may not use this, and if you have a 500-gallon tank full of diesel fuel, how long will that last? Will that not be great?
No, the diesel just don't last a long time. The problem we have with propane is you've got a tank sitting down there in the middle of the pot. And it's just not safe. We really didn't like that you're having it sitting out there. And we thought it would be much safer with the diesel, which is all contained inside the building. And it would just work a lot better.
Okay.
If it gets to the point where the diesel still sits in it for 2 years or so, doesn't get used, we're going to pump it out right through the equipment for fresh diesel fuel. We can do that for you.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions regarding this?
Move
May I have
that
a motion, please?
we approve the bid award to Commercial Electric Incorporated East Providence for the purchase and installation of the emergency generator at the Crandall House in the amount of $94,000, which is funded through the CDBG award and some from the Superstorm Sandy disaster relief grant.
A motion made second. Bill, I just have one quick question. Do you have any estimation on when it might get installed once it's awarded?
We required in the RFP that I think it had to be installed 60 days after it was delivered.
Okay. So once if it gets approved tonight, then you'll give them to go ahead and then they have to order it, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion, folks? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
That's done. One thing done. And another thing. They hopefully before her. Yeah.
Next, under new business is discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution authorizing the town manager to make a one-time election to amortize the unfunded actuarial accrued liability to 21 years for municipal employee retirement system, public safety employees unit number 4087. Brian, give us a quick heads up on that.
So I sent out a memo, I hope you all received it, just to kind of give you a little summary of what's going on, because it does get a little bit confusing, and I didn't want to kind of throw it all at you at once. But recently enacted legislation has resulted in changes in the employee retirement system of Rhode Island. In a nutshell, the contributions made by employers to the town are going to be increasing in FY17. Excuse me. Not necessarily increasing, but they're going to be changing in FY17. So new legislation has changed pension laws where they have to be funded 80% of your liability. So they're giving options to municipalities to either amortize that unfunded portion of your pension plan over 21 years or 25 years. And I gave you a little summary as that does a side-by-side of the 21 and the 25-year amortization table. The general employees were actually overfunded, which is a really good thing for us. We're actually going to see a decrease in our contributions next year. So we're currently at 4.77%, and it's going to go down to, depending on what we decide elect to, how long we decide to elect to amortize it, it's going to go down to 3.56% over 21 years, or 3.91% over 25 years. My recommendation on that, it seems like a no-brainer. We're overfunded. We want to get that $115,000 that we're overfunded back as soon as possible. To draw it out over a longer period of time didn't make much sense to me. I'd rather see the decreases in contribution rates, over the next few years rather than over 25 years. For the police, I make the same recommendation. If we can afford to do the 21 year, which I think we're in pretty good shape right now, I would suggest doing the 21 year. The 25 year was more of an option for municipalities that were in financial distress, I guess is the way that Frank Karpinski put it. If you can't afford to do the 21 year, then you can do the 25 year. You can stretch that unfunded portion over an extra 4 years, which will lower your rate slightly. However, there's an additional $900,000 in interest and fees that we would pay by doing the 25 year. So I think if we can afford to do the 21 year, I think it makes, we're going to save a good amount of money. So I recommend that we do the 21 year.
Yep.
Questions?
I concur. Tom, I'll start with you.
I talked to Brian earlier today, just a quick synopsis. I also agree with the 21 years. Under the general employees, it looks like we're going to go down. And these are just rough numbers because you don't know what it's going to be between this year and next. After talking with Brian, it looks like general government is going to go down 22,949, and the police are going to go up about 16,437. So overall, between both things, we're actually going to go down $6,500. I also concur with 21 years.
So, anything for finance director?
Yeah, we obviously should stay with 21 years, and we're not distressed in that way. We might be distressed in some other ways, but we do not want to go to 25 because it would cost, I don't know, 900,000 or something.
894.
Yeah, a crazy amount of money that we
Right.
would have to pay. So it helps the other communities with their problems. We don't need this, so we just need to act on these resolutions.
B.
I absolutely agree to the 21 years, not the 25. I don't want to pay an extra almost $2 million, even though they may change some things between now and then. I would like to go with what we already have. Also, to keep our budget in a standard state that we can follow, and it won't suddenly just start jumping up and down. So I think it would be much more valuable to go with 21 years.
Commissioner Jim, I concur.
Yeah, there you go.
The only thing I'm going to ask, it's nothing to do with the 25 or 20 years, 21 or 25 years, is that I received this letter from Frank Karpinski from the Employees Retirement System, mailed to me at home. And I don't think Bill had gotten it, nor the clerk.
I received a letter from them. Did you guys receive a letter? Okay. I'll check and see who it was from. to see.
Oh, yeah, I mean, what my concern is that it's so important. It was almost $1 million.
Yeah.
Had I gone on vacation, put this aside, we needed an answer to them by August 1.
Right.
You know, I just think that, I don't mind getting a copy, but I shouldn't get the only copy.
Sure.
Clerk should get one, Bill should get one, you should get one, and whoever else, I don't care. But my point is, had I put it aside, could have been disastrous. You guys would have fired me. You know, I don't know. You know, anyway, I just want, maybe Bill can check with Frank to find out if in fact he only mailed one, because I don't think anyone else did. Please make sure that he knows that everyone else, including yourself and the clerk, get a copy of it, so that, you know, if I'm on vacation or
Anyone
whatever.
else going to copy?
I don't think so. So I'm not going to fax it to Bill. Anyway, so that's what stopped the ball rolling. But anyway, so certainly probably should be a copy. So anyway, if you could do that, Bill, that'd be great.
I would like to do a motion to advertise unfunded actuarial accrued liabilities for the mayor's general and public safety ministries.
Second. Any motion made in second? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, don't we need to also adopt these resolutions? Each one, read them? We can adopt them. Okay, move that we adopt the resolution of the town council of the town of Hopkinton authorizing the town manager to make a one-time election to amortize the unfunded actuarially accrued liability for 21 years for public safety employees.
Second.
Any motion made in second? All those in favor?
Aye.
I move that we adopt the resolution of the town council of the town of Hopkinton authorizing the town manager to make a one-time election to amortize the unfunded actuarially accrued liability for 21 years for mayor's general employees.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. That's number 2 and 3. Next on the new business is to discuss, consider, and act upon a solid waste contract and authorize the town council president to execute such contract between the towns of Hopkinton and Westerly in the amounts of $12,000 for fiscal year 2016-17, $13,000 for fiscal year 2017-18, and $14,000 for fiscal year 2018-19.
I'm going to make that motion.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm going to make it a motion. So moved. Second and then discussion.
That's second.
Motion made, seconded. Okay. And Bill.
On July 6th, I received correspondence from Wesley acting town manager Amy Grabowski regarding the town's of Wesley's intent to terminate or update the agreement that we've had in place with them for the town of Hopkinton's use of the Wesley transfer station. The town currently pays $10,000 a year to the town of Wesley for use of their transfer station. And the proposed increase is what the town council president stated. $12,000 in FY17, $13,000 in FY18, and $14,000 in FY19. I spoke to Amy Grabowski several times, and she conveyed that these annual increases are being requested by the town of Westerly, regardless or irrespective of the anticipated increases by the Rhode Island Resource Recovery Agency in the years ahead. These increases for the town of Hopkinton wouldn't take place until July 1st, 2016, and any increases that are proposed by the Rhode Island Resource Recovery wouldn't take place till July 1st, 2017. I asked if she could come to the meeting to be available, but she advised that she would send two representatives from the town of Wesley. And this evening, Mike Costanza, the Assistant Superintendent from DPW, and Mike Serra, their recycling coordinator, are in the council chambers in case the council had any questions.
You guys want to come up just in case, please? We haven't had an increase since 2006. It's been 9 years, so anyway. I don't know that we have a lot of options. Wesley's the nearest dump, and that's where our stuff goes. So. Anyway, do you guys have any questions for these folks?
The only question I have with this thing is, does Hopkinton get a amnesty day with this? I know Wesley has a couple of them throughout the year. I think they have one in the summer where you have, I see it advertised in the paper every once in a while. You guys have an amnesty day where you bring in white goods and stuff like this here, not at no charge and stuff like that.
Typically, we have it once a year.
Once a year?
And that'd be something we'd have to take up with Amy to see if you could be included in that.
It's typically Western residents.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it is. I just didn't know if that was something.
We can look at,
That was the only question.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. Sylvia, any questions for these folks?
No, it's pretty much, it may be that folks may decide to start hauling their own trash instead of the haulers, because the haulers are facing an increase.
Right.
So, and we'll see what happens, but how it all shakes out. I mean, we take care of our own trash. Does anybody here pick up?
Thank
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens if you get an increase.
Yes, Bob.
I actually think you guys do a great job. I mean, I go to the Westerly dump often with brush and leaves and assorted paraphernalia and batteries and TVs and whatever. But I think you have a really good operation. It's clean.
It is.
It's efficient. It is beautifully run. I love the chickens. I'm sorry you don't have them right now. They're charming.
I can't take any credit for that, that's all.
So I think that's unfortunate, but I did like the chickens. They eat everything, you know. They're wonderful. But I think you do a really good job, and I've been really pleased that for the 10,000 Hopkinton residents, me being one of them, can go to the dump at any time and use the facility to get rid of trash in a green or ecologically fine manner, and you always keep it clean and neat, and it doesn't stink, and it's not dirty, and you don't feel like, oh my God, a rat is going to bite me.
Well, and with this new agreement, that option remains open to Hopkinton's residents.
Yeah, exactly. I
And
think it's,
especially, like we said, with rates continue to rise, only the trash haulers, they always have that option. Or at least perform more maintenance, whatever it is, to use our facility.
I think you have I think this are a really good facility, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But are you okay with the fees?
I am fine with the fees after since 2006, we're going up $2,000 and $1,000. I am fine with that. I think somebody has to pay for the fact that it's clean and neat and not dirty or filthy or rat overrun, and that's very difficult. So I'm very happy about it.
Barbara's happy, we're happy. David?
I come from the old school, and I've always referred to those places where you bring your trash and stuff as dumps. And I've been chastised over the many years, they're not dumps. And then I said, well, landfills, and it's not landfills either, it's a transfer station. So I think you run a very nice transfer station, and not a dump. And I missed the word dump. But I had one question. How do you determine that the state repays communities for recycling? And the more you recycle, the more you get paid. Hopkinton gets a small portion, I guess, of what we recycle in Westerly. How is that determined? I mean, how do you know that the recyclables get?
We don't get any credits, we pay the one-time fee for our trash, and that's it.
We don't get any money back from the state?
It goes to West.
Those are West,
We take that.
they get it all.
That's why we've been paying so little, so long.
Oh, I thought we looked at like $800 back or something. No? Okay. Never mind. It's not a dump. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys can have a motion, please?
I already did, sorry.
Okay. Motion made, was it seconded?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last item under new business is to discuss, consider, and act upon a contract with Rummy Roseanne Anderson Incorporated of South Windsor, Connecticut for the design, development, and construction documents Phase 2 for the Town Hall Consolidation Project, and authorize the town manager to execute such contract in the amount of $132,000, funded from the town's capital improvement program. Bill?
Thank you. On July 9th, I received a proposed contract from Richard Lawrence, the senior project architect of Drumming Roseanne Anderson. And that company will, let me just see this, Lawrence and Associates, when we first agreed to the contract, but they merged with Drumming Roseanne Anderson. And, Richard Lawrence is still the senior project architect, and he's been involved with this town hall consolidation project since day one. He's here with us this evening to discuss the design, development, and construction documents, which is Phase 2 of the town hall consolidation project. The first phase was $15,000, and basically that was a space needs assessment and study, and that project has been completed and paid for. Phase 2 is $132,000, which is probably 75 to 80% of the workload. It's got to do with the heavy-duty site maintenance, plumbing, mechanical, and all the site excavation work, which is pretty expensive. Phase 3 is the negotiation and bidding phase, which is cost, the projected cost at this time is $33,500. Upon receipt of the contract, I forwarded it up to the town solicitor, Pat Buckley, who reviewed and approved the contract language itself. And I asked Mr. Lawrence if he could come here this evening and answer any questions that the council may have with respect to the Phase 2 design cost.
Mr. Lawrence, how are you?
Good.
Good, nice to see you. Yeah, I guess, I know Bill and I and you had met in the council chambers. If you can just give the council an update, because I wasn't of the opinion as to what Phase 2 really consisted of, but when you started showing me all those drawings and all this, it sort of took on a life of its own, and I see how much work's involved, so I'm sure the council will appreciate knowing, how much, $132,000, how much we'll get for that.
Well, thank you, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to continue where we sort of left off. I did not bring all those drawings with me to show them, but when we did this space needs study back in August of 11, so it's, almost 4 years ago, 5 years or so, from when we started, we brought the project to, it's what would be called a schematic design phase. And that's about 10, 12, maybe 15% of the total services that the design professionals, not just the architects, but the engineers also, put in as an effort. We're now taking that was Phase 1, through, as Mr. Gary said, what's typically the end of construction documents. So that's getting us to about 75% of the total services and fee that architects and engineers get paid. As was mentioned, the fee, obviously, yes, it's a lot of money. But what's involved is the following. And we received quotations from a number of the consultants that we originally worked with, or if we hadn't engaged them because of the schematic, now we have to bring them in. So we did get a quote from Al Diorio, who did the surveying and the mapping and the wetlands delineation, so his services now would be involved.
On-site engineering would be involved with the detailed drainage, grading, utilities. He would also be involved with the preliminary determination of RIDEM to see if we're going to have any effect on the wetlands. He's got to also look into the effect, if any, that the addition would have on the on-site sewage disposal system. Also, we have to look into the well because we're showing more square footage, and that has to be checked out with the state health department. So that's all under site engineering. We have included a small amount for John Carter, who's a landscape architect. So the site won't be just stripped bare and left like that. We're going to want to have some planting around. We have a structural engineer involved because we're adding to the building and we have to look at the structure. So again, these are all specialties. They're all what we call design professionals. They all come under the same fee as a part of our team. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering. All the connections for heating, utilities, air conditioning, and so forth. That's what they do. Lighting, outlets, data, communication, all that is their work. We've also included a professional cost estimator, so that when we take it from where we are now, let's use it schematic design, and we get to be about 35 or 40% done, we'll do another estimate. And we'll see how we stand now that we then start to get all the feedback from the other engineers and surveyors and wetlands, etc. And then we have a final estimate when we're completely done with the drawings, ready to go to bid. And then, of course, there is the architectural component where we have the overall coordination and the detailing, the windows, doors, roofing, materials, and that would be the architectural component. So that's how the $132,000 fee came about. As Mr. McGarry said, that would get you up to the point where it's ready for bidding. We then would also have a more accurate estimate. The last estimate, as I mentioned, was done 2011. So none of us can say that whether it's gasoline or bread or milk or eggs or anything else has not changed. Things have changed. So we want to see what the cost would be and get you a more accurate estimate. So that's what our services would be. And there would be interim meetings with the staff and presentations to you to see how it's coming along. We're not just going to disappear and say, here, it's all done. We want you to be involved into your project so we get the input from you and the staff.
Thanks, Mr. Lawrence. And I'll start on my left, David.
Fine.
Okay. Barbara.
I actually have some questions because I really think this is an important project. I think it's a place where we are going to be bequeathing to the town another building that, and we have had buildings last for hundreds of years, and so I'm assuming this one may last as long, but I'd like to be proud of it at the end of it. And I did go through the issues and I have some questions on them because we're going through the design development phase, and I'd certainly like, and I was happy to hear that you were interested in our comments as well as in hopefully the public's comments on this because it's their building.
Yes.
I'm very interested in whether you're doing plaster ceilings or drop ceilings. We'd like it to look like Hopkinton, not like, a modern department store, correct? We like having our beadboard. It's easy to clean, it's very old fashioned. The moldings matter. The lighting matters to me. I'd like to see not drop ceilings, but fluorescents that bounce off of plaster ceilings.
Indirect,
Yes. But things that make the place warm, inviting, because that's what our town hall always has been. So I'm very concerned that it continues like that. We've also, I know with Tom Buck, we talked about trying to reuse some of the pieces from the 1904 building. Like they have the huge doors, which should be ADA compliant. We can't use the transoms, but we're wondering if we could reuse some of those massive solid wood doors, if that's something that could be done instead of using plastic or as long as they're fire, whatever they need to do for the fire retardant or however you do that. But things that we could possibly reuse from that building would be a great way of bringing the 1984 building into the town hall.
I'm not so sure Mr. Lawrence knows about that.
No, I don't, but I would be glad to look at it and see. For example, we recently did a school project where two schools were consolidated into one. And we took the old bell which, you know, the rope broke years ago. But we took it off of the tower and we brought it in, and when we walk into the vestibule, we put this arched brick opening and we hung the old bell there. And then we took some things from the other school and incorporated it. Now, you can't do it throughout the whole building, but maybe certain features would be great.
Right,
Yeah.
because I would love to see that, so that there's some way that we are incorporating the whole town into the consolidation of the town hall. So I am concerned that we make sure we have input, so we keep the building as warm and inviting. We like wood floors more than we like tile. I understand you have to use tile on occasion, but it would be awfully nice to be able to have it as, even though we have to watch our pricing, budgetary thing, but I'd really like to see that happen. And then
We
I
can get into that. We're also willing to put in what we call alternate bids. So you can, maybe the base price would be a wood, and then if we find it's too expensive, if you have to go to a vinyl or a rubber tile, we can see what the two are. Put them both out to bid at the same time, and you make the choice to see where it falls in the budget.
I think that makes good sense. And then I had a request, because I don't actually, surprisingly enough, I don't actually have a lot of opinions about what the furniture and fixtures are going to be that are brought in. I am more interested in the architectural plan. But in the project budget, movable furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and the design fee was $25,000. I just didn't know if that was enough.
That's not phase two.
No, that's still part of phase 2 because he does project budgets.
Is that going to be phase two, Stone? The furniture?
Are you in the agreement?
This one right here.
And what page are you on, if I may ask?
It doesn't have a page number. But
It says project budget.
Oh, that was part of the study that we had done.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just, there's $25,000 for movable furniture and fixtures. I just wanted to know if maybe you want to relook at that, because it doesn't seem to me like that's enough money, but I could be wrong.
Right. That's true. We put in what we might call a placeholder. We were not trying to build that up and make it into a monument, if you will. Not knowing, again, how much you would, because there are some historic pieces.
Oh, yeah.
We may want to move those in. So we would want to bring somebody in to look at that and budget. If that line item has to increase, we would talk to you about what the desire is from the different departments, what they're going to move and save versus what would be required to purchase.
New and modern. And then I had only one other question. On page 11, the line is out, is drawn through for preparation for and attendance at a public presentation, meeting, or hearing. I'm assuming that you are open to doing a presentation for the public. You know, you said in the beginning part of your speech that you were. It's page 11, number 7. 43.1, number 7. I'm assuming you're not trying to do a huge dog and pony show, but...
I'm trying to think. That could have been crossed out in error because, yes, I would be available if you wanted to have an open workshop, a public hearing. Yeah.
More to say, this is what we're planning on doing.
With the new estimates.
Yes, exactly, with the new...
Right.
You know, once you're further along.
I can have that put back in and not overstruck. Yeah.
And I don't think we need to have 6 or 7 meetings, but just something so that the public feels like they're part of, somewhat part of the process.
I don't know why during our discussions with Mr. McGarry, it didn't come up, but I would be willing to include 1 or 2 meetings like that. But again, as you said, Mrs. Thompson, not a half a dozen and
Oh, of course not.
going on and on.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, you've done very nice work for us, and I'm sure it will continue. But it's an exciting time, and it should be something people look forward to and not dread.
Right.
So I'd like to see them be able to see how nice it will look and how much it will be part and parcel of the town. Because we do bequeath this building to the town for the next 100 years. And I'm proud of the hall that Tom Rhode did a lot of work on. But even getting this raised, at one point they were going to leave it at floor level, which meant we couldn't have seen anyone. So I think that, you know, what we have to say matters because it's how we function in the space.
Right. And I think, you know, from the study we did before in your involvement, we're trying to make the addition look like and complement what's here now, not make any other statement anything different. We would like when it's done for people to say, gee, where was the addition? So that it does blend in. Yeah.
And it doesn't look like a warren, so I'm very happy about that too. It's a very straightforward hall and corridor. It doesn't look cut up and broken up and chopped. So I appreciate that.
Efficient layout, yes.
Very nice.
Thank you, Barbara. Sylvia?
I'm just thrilled that we're finally moving forward. We haven't had the money to do it. And so we've saved enough to move forward and finish this over the next couple of years. But I think everything's been said that was on my mind, other than I look forward to explaining the project further so that and then it gets reported on, so people understand, you know, they voted on the consolidation project way back when to move forward with it, and what they're really going to get is a tight ship. It's going to look nice, it's going to fit in, I'm sure, but we're finally going to have the employees that are scattered all over. You know, the manager down in a rec department, and zoning is over in public works, and you know, people are. We got the fair house over here, we got finance up there. So we're all going to have them together. It's going to be more efficient, and I see it as just more efficient and more financially viable too. And to have the manager in the same building with the rest of the employees is about time. So,
You want us to jog here anymore?
Oh, you look forward to that.
Thanks, Sylvia. Tom?
No, pretty much everything's been said. Except Barbara made a valid point. I'm looking at the 1904 building.
Where is that?
Right down the street, probably about a couple miles. Just got some beautiful doors and stuff like that at all possible to use, which I think we could, because all the V-board and stuff, we had to have special fireproof coating and stuff put on it, and I think that we can use that to incorporate some of that stuff, because the building is going to eventually come down.
Okay.
So we want to use some of that stuff.
This is the first I've heard of it, but
Yeah,
I'd be glad to take a look, take measurements, pictures, and let's see what we can try to do. It has a bell.
It's a bell.
Oh boy.
I know, me too. I didn't think of that.
We can tie it into an electronic clock so that it rings every hour. Bring it up to date.
At lunchtime?
Yeah.
So, we met
Yes.
years, 6 years ago, I think, when we first started this project, and I'm really happy to finally see that it's starting to come to fruition. So, good job.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Yeah, just thank you, Ms. Lawrence, for being here and being gracious about some of the changes that were brought up tonight. I guess if maybe we can amend that contract to put that sentence back in that Barbara requested.
Sure.
And then, I think what else? I think
That was it, basically.
pretty much. Again, thanks for being here.
That was on page 11, I
Page
believe.
11, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 7.
I can have it rerun with that, the overstrike taken out,
Yeah.
and then I think I sent you 3 copies. Is that correct? All right, I'll sign it, send you 3 copies, then you sign it, and then mail it.
And I appreciate also too, I think when you get all these plans ready for bidding, you know, like they suggested, maybe give us a couple alternatives. You know, like wood flooring in one scenario, and then tile as a less expensive proposition.
Sure.
So that'd be great, thank you.
And another thing I will do as we move it along, even though sometimes people can't get to like a public workshop or gathering, as we did at the school when just before the vote that it didn't pass, we could put these on some boards, you know, and leave them here, so when people are in the town hall, they can at least see the plan. They may not be able to hear a presentation or ask questions, but at least they can feedback to the staff.
That's a good
Okay?
suggestion.
It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
I
folks,
move
we got a
that we
motion on that.
authorize the town manager to execute the design, development, and construction documents phase 2, prepared by Dumsey Roseanne Anderson, Inc. of South Windsor, Connecticut, in the amount of $132,000 funding for the town's capital improvement program, with the amendment that there shall be a public hearing on the project.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion, folks? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank
I'll
you.
get that off to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Last item under new business, boards and commissions. Consider reappointing Don Simmons to the planning board.
I would like to make a motion to reappoint Don Simmons to the planning board. He's a lighting engineer, so he's been a really valuable part of the planning process. He's been very useful as he's on Zoom because we make sure that there's the dark side of the plan lighting. We can actually look at things in detail. I really appreciate that. He's been a great member of the planning board.
Second.
Okay, motion made second. I know Don, and he's a great addition to, he's been a great addition to our planning board for many years and continues to be so. And he's a great guy, and I appreciate his efforts. Motion made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Last public forum. Anyone out there who should be heard? May I have a motion to adjourn?